I'm Dr. Jeffrey Niezgoda, as Pam mentioned, a co-founder of the association, and here with me is my lovely wife of 26 years, Kathleen, and I asked her to join me tonight to provide you all with a little bit of a historical perspective of the association, how it started, and how we got to where we are here tonight. So Kathleen?
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Pamela, for the lovely announcement. I was asked to give a historical overview of the Association for Bladder Exstrophy Community. I might mess up and say children because that's originally what it was founded as. So please excuse me if I say children instead of community. As was mentioned, 25 years ago, our son was born with bladder exstrophy, and he was born at midnight, so we did not know what to do. Nobody knew what was going on with him. And one of the things that sticks out in my memory is that we were told not to name him yet because they wanted to make sure that he had kidneys. In the morning, a neonatologist and a urologist came in and did tell us that he had bladder exstrophy. We were sent to a community hospital close to where we lived. My husband had the presence of mind to ask the surgeon how many of the operations he performed, and the surgeon said 2. And my husband, Jeff, politely declined to have Jeffrey be his 3rd.
Actually, I fired him at that point.
I was being nice. Then we went back, and obviously we had no internet at that time, and it was like, what do we do? Where do we go? We did a Medline search, which is what we had available at the time, and it was medical articles related to bladder exstrophy. So we could find out the doctors that did these procedures and did the research on exstrophy. And Jeff also contacted a urologist in Washington, D.C., and he suggested that we go to Johns Hopkins. So Jeffrey was airlifted to Johns Hopkins Hospital, where we met Dr. Gerhardt, who answered many of our medical questions and told us about the procedures that Jeffrey would eventually undergo. After we had spent close to 2 months in Baltimore, away from home on another coast, we actually lived in California at the time. We felt very isolated. We met, I think, two families with children with exstrophy when we were at Johns Hopkins. And we had many questions about how to raise a child with exstrophy, what to say. And then in 1990, we went to a support group picnic and saw the children playing with their siblings and realized that the children were more similar to their siblings than different. We also realized a few other things in talking with parents, that the children with exstrophy had great potential, and they also would need a lot of support. It wasn't a 1 surgery, 3 surgery, 4 surgery fix-all. There were many other needs that the children would have. And then we realized, how do we communicate with other people? How do we prevent people from going through what we went through initially with finding out about Jeffrey and then trying to find out how to help him? So that's kind of the historical perspective. And the next 2 years, we spent contacting other hospitals via phone, mail to the international hospitals, and got them to join our group. And we then provided a newsletter and a directory to patients from different hospitals so that they could communicate with one another about exstrophy and about some of the challenges that they had. We also had in the newsletter doctors answering different questions that people posted. And I think the overriding question that many parents had was, what do I do with this child? How do I handle the operations? How do I handle my other children? How do I handle the fact that they may not be through all their surgeries and they may be wearing diapers or other things and they're still wet? And of course, in schools, there's an intolerance for that. So by 1996, excuse me, by 1992, we had established the Association for Bladder Exstrophy Children. It was an international community, and we filed for the nonprofit organization. We were a 501c3 organization. And then by 1996, we, through a grant through the American Legion, we had a book, and it was the first book of its kind. It was called Living with Bladder Exstrophy, and it was a guide on how to raise children with exstrophy. In 2008, my son Jeffrey wanted to do a project, and he did a DVD with Dr. Reiner and a number of brave teenagers called Living with Bladder Exstrophy, the Teen Survival Guide. And in the Teen Survival Guide, these teens talked about how they survived high school and what they did, some of the coping mechanisms that they had. And it was really a wonderful video, and it proved that the children were very resilient and coped quite well, and that speaks to their potential, really. We've had numerous international meetings over the years in Milwaukee, Toronto, and Pittsburgh. And finally, we did establish a website, and now we have a national director, Pamela, who helps us with the ABC. And so now parents can search the internet and find out questions that they have related to exstrophy. And finally, we've reached to the level of having a webinar to be able to talk about exstrophy, and are so lucky to have Dr. Reiner with us tonight.
Kathleen, that was great. A great overview. Very, very well done.
Thank you.
So that's a snapshot of the last 25 years in just a few minutes, and you did a good job at that.
Oh, thank you.
But we obviously a lot has changed with the organization over the years. We've gone from paper to paperless, a very virtual organization. And as Kathleen mentioned and Pam mentioned, we're international. We have members all over the world. And the idea here is to show you that bladder exstrophy is a condition, just like many other medical conditions, that we can be successful when raising our children, making them successful young adults, and mature into healthy, happy, successful individuals and contributing to society. And Jeffrey is a great example of that. I just wanted to let you all know that WebCME team, who is behind the scenes putting this webinar on for you, has an individual that we talked about earlier tonight, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is part of that WebCME team. He's a graduate in film and video production and participates with the team here and is helping to put on the webinar. So he's behind the scenes contributing to the organization here. We're very blessed to have Pam as the president and executive director of the organization. She's taken us in a great direction. Yes. And has a lot of great ideas for moving this organization forward and continue to support our members and provide opportunities for education and sharing and networking. And this webinar series is just one example of that. So we're very excited to be participating here in the inaugural event. Congratulations to you, Pam.